you could turn on the microphones and actually take the one and put it in front of Bill, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Foreman?
Well, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the January 4th meeting of the Board of Electrical Examiners. If we could take a few minutes to review the minutes of our last meeting. Let's see, that was November 2nd. If you agree with everything that's on the minutes, we can get those approved so we can document them as approved minutes.
My question on that would be, are we trying to bring in 4 more guys total?
I don't.
Is that the?
That is up for discussion,
Okay.
For sure. I'm going to say at least 2, but possibly 3. I'm very open to suggestions on the number of new members. As a matter of fact, Craig suggested yesterday that we not only use the specific trades, but possibly have a general contractor on the board also. And actually, his recommendation was David Holman, who's I'm going to say a young contractor because I'm so old, but he's very active. As a matter of fact, he even just became a member of the historic board, I believe. So that was, so as far as saying, we're only going to allow 4 members, I think as long as we have a group of mixed trades, it'll be good.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. That's why I didn't know if we, where that. I know it said that 2 plumbers, master plumbers, and 2 HVACs members were needed.
That may be tough to find.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think ideally it would be 2 members from each trades, and then the GC. Then you got 7. You don't want an even number, just in case.
Okay. Well, so, yeah, that's.
I guess I have a question: are there any other trades that people don't normally think of? Are the guys that do the low voltage security things? Is that considered a trade or is that a service?
Well, there are ones that are really in a bind now because they're not really able to get any of the license unless they go through the new process.
So I guess they're electrician subcategory.
They would be, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So you take like the alarm companies.
Right.
Yeah, video surveillance, stuff like that. Through the process of, adopting the new policy from the state, I think that those were the ones that I received the most calls from because they were impacted the most because they weren't going to be able to pull permits now with the new licensing set by the state.
So I've started drafting the ordinance. I'm in the very, very initial stages, and county commissioners had a very good question. They said, do any other counties have an all-trades board? So through MACO, I sort of asked the question, and so far, nobody has an all-trades board. So this will be a first. Okay. Most folks have, so far, it's a sort of sprinkle of no board at all, or electrical board only, or I think it was one county, it might have been, it wasn't Talbot, somebody else. I said, we have one electrical board, one plumbing board, separate, so. and they were on the Eastern Shore. So I think that the idea of this board is gonna, unless somebody chimes in, we'll be the first, so.
Okay.
The hard part is there's no model to follow. The good part is you can do what you want. And I wanted to ask you all, what do you see as the purpose of the board, right? As staff, I think we have an idea of what we would like the purpose of the board to be, but I wanted to ask you all from the side of being on the board and being in the trade, how does this board serve you, and what do you feel its mission is for the trades? Your trade in particular.
So far as it being as the electrical board part of it, and being able to keep up with what the state's doing, and being able to get that information out has been especially through the last couple of years, it's been very helpful.
Yeah.
As far as the new mechanical board going through, I haven't really thought through that one a whole lot yet, right? As far as, what is the main purpose of that? Which, great question. I think it is good that we have something to where, if nothing else, we're able to communicate what the inspectors are looking for, what the county's looking for, and as that group, we all are on the same page. I think that helps with clarity on job sites and so forth.
And from our point of view, we love having you all in an expanded board, because when we have technical questions, right, we don't have this expertise on staff. So when things come up, when there's issues, when the state makes big moves, looking to you for your expertise about, what does this mean and what's going on, that's really important to us. Many of our other boards are citizen boards, so they sort of give kind of, the common man's viewpoint of what's going on. But, historic preservation, electrical commission, those are boards that have expertise that we rely on, because we don't have that on our team. So that's sort of our side. So it makes sense. So for your side, it's sort of like general communication. I understand having Craig here, I mean, I know he's not here today, but having Craig here allows there to be sort of crosstalk, so that's good.
Right. And even with Mike here, being able to talk with him about things, what people are going through to get their permits and so forth, and us understanding those avenues to where we can help the general public as well as they move through those muddy waters.
Kind of surprised reading through the Mulick minutes, it appears that some counties are still actually testing as well, which is pretty surprising.
Yeah, I was surprised about that.
Other than the specific number of members, is there anything else you want to add or delete from the minutes?
Yes, good.
Good. Motion to approve it.
Motion.
Second. Second. Done. Okay. The next thing on the agenda was the discussion of the Mulick minutes, which we've already started in. Is there any, I think the discussion of the number of journeymen versus the apprentice, being 50% of the
Reading
total.
through these minutes, it seems like there's a little bit more valuable information than the last meeting that we set through. It's nice to see some actual breakdowns of numbers and cost for things to give us an idea of what the state's going through. And like I said, it looks like there's still some divide between the state and which counties are actually adopting the code. And then, like I said, even as far as testing, which is pretty surprising, but we're doing the right thing by following the state's so it doesn't really apply to us.
Right.
I'm wondering on that, with that apprenticeship, a lot of those companies were probably focusing on their journeyman being registered, right? And haven't thought about the apprentice because the state hasn't made a big push towards it. So whether the state makes a push that, because my understanding, the way it reads is that everyone who's working in the trade needs to be registered. So I can't, when I'm looking at that number of 5,000 apprenticeships in the state of Maryland, that just seems extremely low.
Uh-huh, right, so they're saying that the guys that are in high school or college that come in for a summer job also should be registered as an apprentice.
That's the way I understood it. Anyone working in the trade is supposed to be registered somehow, right?
Right,
Whether apprenticeship, a journeyman, or a master electrician, they should be registered with the state of Maryland.
but, my question is, who's gonna enforce that? It's not Craig's job.
Right.
It's not the planning offices.
It would be the state's job, but it doesn't seem like the state's, they've got a full plate with,
Yeah.
like I said, counties still going rogue and doing their own thing.
So I guess
Any
if,
federal job that has to comply with Davis-Bacon, that's where the rubber's gonna hit the road.
yeah,
Because they're gonna need timesheets, and they're gonna need registrations, and that's where it's gonna stop.
Yeah, we see it with our large solar projects. Because for people to get the grants, they have to hire companies that are in line with the state, right? So,
State's got more watch fly on those bigger solar.
so those are the ones that will definitely
Okay.
fall in line
Right.
more quickly, right?
Right.
Because if you're doing those types of job, or you're doing any government jobs that are scale wages and things like that, they're gonna require, that's all gonna be monitored a lot. The average guys here in King County, if we're either doing residential and things like that, the state's not
Sure,
looking at those as closely at this point.
gotcha. Okay.
I guess they're going for the bigger numbers quicker.
Right. Okay. Good.
Just had one thing that's probably a bit more of a question for Bill. I noticed as I was sending out a new registration this morning on our certificate, it still lists Mike Usselton, that it's issued from Mike Usselton.
Yeah.
Since Victor's acting, should we change that to Victor?
I agree,
moving forward?
yes.
Okay.
As long as you're comfortable with that, Victor.
I will get comfortable. How's that?
I mean, the nice part about this is it really is, as registration, I mean, we're not really doing anything but, right, checking that they have a valid ID, that they actually have a real state license, and they've paid a fee. I mean, we're not responsible for ensuring that they're,
In compliance.
right, yeah, that they basically have to prove they're in compliance with their state license, right? I mean, so
Correct, yeah.
if they don't have that, they're not getting something from us, so.
Is there anyone looking, going online and checking if that license is?
Well, if they'll
Is it
provide
good
me,
standing?
they'll provide me their, I'm sure if you go on the state license, you gotta
Right.
print out your current license and get that. And then some of the guys will forget to do it, and if that's the case, I'll go on and pull their number and do them a favor by printing it out instead of, it seems like a lot of the older gentlemen are a little computer challenged sometimes in getting printouts of their state license. But yeah, I double check to make sure that their license are current, and to add to that, we make sure they have a current certificate of insurance as well.
Thank you, yeah.
So, yeah, that's.
I do know that feeling, Victor. There's a stamp with my name for like every building permit, everything. So people say, well, you signed it. And I look down, I go, yeah, I guess I kind of did.
Okay, moving forward on the agenda, to discuss the plumbing and, HVAC. I have spoken with, Mike Starkey about, joining as a member. He's very interested and feels that it would be a positive thing for the county to do. Unfortunately, he was just getting back from vacation, and this is like Monday morning after a vacation, and he's trying to get jobs squared away, so he was like, I just can't make a 8:30 meeting today. But he is interested in attending the next meeting just to kick the tires, so to speak. But he did feel that it would be beneficial to not only him but others in the trade, and similar to what you were saying, where as an electrician, this helps you be more aware of the upcoming regulations. And he was saying, you know, a lot of times they're not aware of a regulation until they need to do it, you know. And Craig is usually the one that's telling them that, but this way they'll be be on top of it a little more. It's kind of hard when you're out there, you know, working on a project to take the time to check the new regulations that are upcoming. And he said this will put him ahead of the game, in his thoughts. So, and if you guys know of any other people that you feel would be beneficial for us to have on this board, I'm thinking that we would send out a letter to these people inviting them to join this board. And that being said, the ones that I've got earmarked would be David Holman, Rick Hudson, who was here at our last meeting, and Mike Starkey. I think we had discussed possibly the manager of Capital Electric. Do you think he would, and I'm not familiar with, is it Brian?
It's Brian.
How many master plumbers and HVAC people do we have in Kent County?
If I had to guess on registered plumbers, 100, give or take 20 or so. And we don't do any registration for HVAC guys, so I can't really comment on that. And I want to say our master
Why aren't we
electrician-
registering our HVAC guys? Not that it's a little off subject, but as we turn to a mechanical board, if the plumbers have to be registered and the electricians are being registered.
Is there a specific, I think Brian had told me this before, I can't remember, is there a specific license that a HVAC guy carries from the state?
Yes.
There is.
So that's
Certainly be up
something.
for discussion. Victor was asking about registering HVAC guys.
Right.
Now that we register plumbers and electricians.
So I think the big innovation we did last year was apparently we never required any inspections for HVAC at any time in any project. So I asked Craig to add that to his list of things to do. So, you know, again, they don't pull a permit with us, they just request an inspection and that the work is inspected. but we haven't moved up to registering them, so we can certainly look into that. You know, I don't know what the state law would be about that. I mean, we have a specific power delegated to us. There's, I think, 3 counties in state law have specific powers over plumbing, that we are in state law and given that power. And the electrical stuff is more general for everybody. So I'd have to kind of look into it and see what is the deal with HVAC, you know? I mean, we're just now asking people to do inspections.
Right.
Yeah, and to add to that, the registration for plumbers and electricians is, at this point, just a revenue source for the county. And I've reached out to MDIA, who's actually issuing the plumbing and electrical permits, to see if they're back checking state licenses and stuff, and they're not. So there's really no correlation between us and MDIA. Like, our registration isn't to protect anybody, and there's no communication there. Like I said, it's just a collective fee. So if we did do HVAC, it would be simply, again, just a fee collection.
Although we might want to change our process and actually check. Although,
No, like I said, we do our checking,
Right,
it's
we do,
just.
right.
I've
MDIA
asked,
does not.
I've asked MDIA, like, when these guys pull permits, are you checking to make sure, they're checking to make sure they're registered with the state, but they're not checking to make sure they're registered with us.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Okay. And really, right, I mean, our primary reason we do registration is to make sure that they're registered with the state. So that's, at least, the part, to me, the part that's the substance, the important part is being addressed. We might be losing revenue in that process, and we can address that, but, yeah.
I think brings it on
That's
a
good.
So,
level playing field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can understand the feeling like, if we have to be registered, you should have to be
Right.
registered too. There's really no.
I can't imagine there's any job where you're not doing HVAC, I mean, except for like an accessory shed or something, you know.
so to sit on the Kent County Board, do you just have to have a license, or do you have to live in Kent County?
We can set it up however we want. I mean, this is a county board, so there isn't a, you know, some of the boards, there's some state requirements we would have to meet. This is a county board, so the county can, you know, the Board of County Commissioners will make that final decision, but you all can suggest whatever you think is doable. I mean, especially with expertise, requiring someone to live in a county and have a certain expertise might really limit the field, right? As opposed to a citizen
Board, yeah.
board. The whole point is to live in a county. It's a different kind of board.
What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know, that's why I was asking.
I'm trying to see where you're going with that, or what you're, you know.
Yeah, I just didn't know whether you had to live in Kent County to be on this Kent County Board. That was just a question, really.
Right. I can actually check on this board right now.
I thought the electrical
Yeah.
board we had to be, it was electrical, right?
I think in the manual, the current board is supposed to be residents of Kent County, which,
Is 3 residents of Kent County. That is, residency is currently required. But just so you know, like HPC, the Historic Preservation Commission, 1 member is allowed to be a non-resident, as, you know, so that's, it's 6 plus 1, so.
I would think it would be more important that they're working in the county versus a resident of the county.
Maybe registered with us.
you think? That would definitely be a qualification requirement. So,
So try to get back on topic, the 3 that you have reached out to so far, is that where you, as far as joining the board?
actually, there's only 2 that I've
Mike Starkey.
reached out to,
And
was
Dave?
Rick Hudson and Mike.
Okay.
Dave,
Dave, we haven't reached out
I
to.
haven't
yet.
reached out, and Brian from Capitol.
This is, I mean, appointments are a county commissioner call. I mean, we can sort of try to raise interest and see if there are people who would be interested in joining, but the actual appointments are made by county commissioners.
Right, right.
And, you know, they consider that in closed session for people's privacy, so.
But we suggest who,
We can do that, although for many of the boards, we do not.
Would it be worth to post something at Capitol?
So what I would like to do is first go through the process of changing the code, creating the new board, because, I mean, county commissioners have to go through the decision-making process if they want that board, how do they want to compose that board. I mean, I know with the Agriculture Advisory Commission, previous Board of County Commissioners, there were a lot of changes, right? We put together a proposal, and they went from 7 members to 9 members. I mean, there was a lot of, so I wouldn't want to sort of jump the gun, because it might, the board might end up looking very different than, you know, especially if we get input from other counties and there's some concerns, or there's some legal concern, right? There's lots of reasons that, you know, they might want to make adjustments, especially in the field of the legal issues. I think that might be a, you know, don't know what we're kind of getting into.
Yeah, so at this point, we're just kind of drumming up interest.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if there's absolutely 0 people interested in doing it, I would sort of approach it a different way, you know?
And what's that look like with the county commissioners as far as changing this board? As far as time-wise and things like
So
that?
a bill like this, it probably 4 months, maybe,
Okay.
you know, zoning bills are 6 months because it has to go to planning commission for review, and it's a bigger process, but non-zoning bills, it's just the legislative process. So there's 3 readings, there's a public hearing in the middle of that. That's generally maybe 4 months, depending on their schedule. So, and depending on sort of all the other things. We are doing a land use ordinance and starting mapping, so their agenda's gonna be packed, so.
Gotcha. So, yeah, it probably does make sense to get that, you know, the board change to that and get that all done before we bring in,
Right, don't want to put
Yeah,
the
the-
cart before the horse.
have members in, and then there's no board, or they don't want to change it.
Right, yeah, I mean, and like I said, there's a lot of unknown contingencies. I mean, my expertise is in planning and zoning. This is really a building field. So I'm gonna be getting advice from, you know, from you all, from other folks. So our initial conception of, you know, how this might work best might be very different in 3 months when we've heard a lot of input. Again, legal review is important. You know, I mean, HVAC is kind of its own universe that I'm really have very little familiarity with. I'll be learning everything myself from scratch, so. But I think the idea of having a big concept is important, and I want to make sure that that concept is something you all like and agree with. We'll move forward with the big concept and kind of see where we get. But I'm especially interested if there's any other county, just even one, doing this. That would be really, really helpful, what their experience is and how it works for them. But I'm kind of thinking there might not be at this point, so we'll see.
Someone has to start.
That's right.
Yeah,
Although the Army recommends you don't volunteer right now.
I would imagine at some point in time, though, the state's gonna catch up with some of these non-complying counties, and the landscape of things are gonna change over the next probably 5 years. You know, everything's pretty new. This, you know, December 1 of last year, January 1 of last year is when all this took place, so.
Yeah, I agree. You good with all that, Brian?
yeah, the other, thing that, I didn't put on the agenda, but, we had talked about is, even, you know, now we're meeting every other month, and we may even shorten it, since we're not correcting tests or anything, to, quarterly or even biannually. You know, and especially when you, have a bigger group trying to, you know, get enough people together to have the quorum. Also, this, it just seems like our agenda is so short, so limited, you know, to drag you guys in here for, you know, an hour of your time and, you know, for a short agenda, you know, possibly it would be a longer agenda, and, it just is something else that I'd like to bring up and get your thoughts and concerns about it, so.
If we were to meet biannually, are we still, if issues were to arise, are we still able to call a meeting?
I mean, we can put that in, sure. I mean, if you guys are willing to do that.
Yeah, my first thought would be go quarterly.
Okay.
You know, and see how that goes. And then if it's, And the reason I'm thinking that is if there's a couple people that can't make it to a meeting, they don't miss a half a year, you know?
Right, the next year, they miss their own.
Right, so you're at one meeting a year if you miss one. Or if we have four of them, they still hit 3 out of 4. So,
Okay, yeah, no,
but
that's,
things do come up, right?
oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And if we're gonna do them quarterly, I mean, I'm just curious, are there particular times that are good, bad, in certain months that are really rough? I mean, does it not matter?
December's probably the worst month to do it,
So don't do it in December.
right? For, you know, I don't know how everybody else is, but.
Yeah, I'm goose hunting then, so.
Between Christmas and the end of the year stuff.
Right.
So,
Okay. So maybe mid-quarter, that way you're not hitting that into the year.
First thing's better for me, just to get it over with and don't have to come off of a job, don't know where you're gonna be. But first thing would be best for
you're saying
For
first thing in
myself.
the morning.
yeah.
So keep
I
it at
agree with
8:30.
that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might be nice not to have it be the first Thursday, because we have planning commission also on the first Thursday so for the team, it's rough having double headers. So if first Thursday is not, there's no big deal what Thursday, or, maybe we can shift that a little bit, so it's not always bunched up with planning commission.
A Monday's always bad.
Right.
Nobody wants to come in on Friday.
Well, and we have so many Monday holidays, if you do that, Board of Appeals meets on Mondays, and they're always having to move their meetings. They meet on the third Monday, and every holiday just turns out to be the third Monday. That's how
So
it
if we
works.
kept it on Thursdays and did second
Yeah.
Thursday or third Thursday,
Okay.
whatever.
Perfect.
That,
Just catching up from the weekend on a Monday.
Yeah. Good call.
But kind of like we did the last meeting, even though we're not through this process, if Mike wanted to come sit in on the next electrical board meeting to kind of get an idea of.
Yeah.
Anybody can
This,
come.
this is an
Yeah.
open
Public
meeting
meeting, yeah.
to, anybody that,
And in general, people can sit at the table because we got a lot of room.
yeah, yeah.
Right now. Till we go to 7 members, then we won't have a lot of room, yeah. That's a good call.
Yeah, so I guess that should be, noted in the book when we change because I really don't even, I believe in the code book now, it's a closed meeting, isn't it?
Even if it says that, it can't be. I can understand it being closed if you're doing testing, that would be different. But these kind of meetings, we have to have them open.
Right,
So-
and
Regardless of
that's
what it says.
probably why it was closed, because of the testing. And, now it's, the testing is not part of our, responsibility, so. yeah.
Well, originally, the examinations were given in the months of January, April, July, and October, so that was your quarterly schedule for exams, which you know, but I didn't realize that. Okay, well, thank you, Brian.
Mhm. All right. That was all that I had on the agenda. If there's anything you guys want to add and discuss, we definitely have time. If there's, any new business that you'd like to bring up, feel free, or also don't hesitate to email me if there's something that you feel should be on the agenda. That's the thing that, I struggle with sometimes is, creating the agenda, and it's like, okay, this is all I got. So, that's all I have, and, if, also, if you happen to think of someone that you think would be positive on the board, shoot me an email about that, so. Because, you guys are out there and, you see more during the day than I see as far as, what's going on in your trades, so. If there's someone you think would be beneficial to have, let me know.
Based on the quarterly idea, shall we meet again in April?
Are we going to start this now, or the quarterly when we get?
We don't have to, I'm asking.
Well, I'm asking.
Either way, I mean, you're all scheduled. That, the first Thursday in April is the week after Easter Sunday. So if that gives any, I know Easter moves around a lot, so. And we don't have to decide today, but I was just thinking. Or we can do it in 2 months.
Well, it's either March or April, so it's not like it's a big,
How soon are you going to the commissioners with the new board idea?
I'm gonna try to be there sometime in February
Okay, so
for introduction.
do we meet in March then to see how that goes and where we're moving with that?
Okay.
Or we keep that moving and still keep it every other month for right now through
okay,
this process, and then next meeting decide where that's
Sounds
going.
good.
If it's if the commissioners look at it and say, hey, this is a great idea, or, there's legal problems or whatever, then we can,
so do you
sit
want
back
to
and
do it the
reconsider.
first Thursday in March to stay with
that's up to you
the
guys.
track we're on?
Because you said something about changing
Or
that.
would you like to do it the second Thursday in March?
Second Thursday in March is. Well, we have, since Beth is here, Beth, is it easier to do 2 meetings on the same day or not so easy?
Not so easy.
Not so easy,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, well, we
I'm
can
not
do it,
guessing wrong.
we can do it the second, Thursday in March.
Okay, second Thursday in March is March 14th. Not St. Patrick's
Pi Day.
Day? That's good.
Hi, Dad.
Pi Day.
Yeah,
That's right.
14th?
yes.
Right.
Sure, thank you. I get a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I second that.
All right.
Tap out.
Let's say tap out.
Yeah.